Buenos dias, clase. Me llamo Grammar Gregorio, and man, are you in for something good and important and big today. Chicos y chicas, today we're going to talk about the ER and IR ending verbs. What that means is verbs that actually end in IR or ER. Some of them are mentioned around the border of this screen. Chicos y chicas, if you recall, we have dug into AR verbs and we know a ton of them. Some examples would be hablar, estudiar, pasar, trabajar, mirar. Any of the endings of those would be O in the yo form, as in the tu form, a in the el, ella, and the usted form, amos in the nosotros, and an in the ellos, ellas, and ustedes form. For ER and IR ending verbs, we have a slightly different ending pattern. So here are your endings for regular ER verbs. In the yo form, it's O, just like in AR. But for the tu form, it's ace, which is ES. In the LA usted, we have E, nosotros, hemos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes is en. And recalling your AR verbs, the only difference is what used to be A's have become E's in the ER form. Some examples of ER verbs would be leer, vender, comer, and beber. You also learned correr, aprender, and I'm sure you know a few more. This is the chart that's on your handout that goes with today's lesson. What you need to do is you need to conjugate the verb comer in all of its forms. Remember, just like AR verbs, you keep the stem, you drop the ER ending, and you insert the appropriate ending. Next, we have IR ending verbs. A few examples include escribir, compartir, and vivir, which means to live. The endings of IR verbs are o, es, e, hemos, and en. Next, on your handout, please conjugate the verb compartir, which means to share, in all of its appropriate forms. Just like our AR verbs again, drop the IR ending and insert the appropriate ending for each of the following forms of the verb compartir. So if you recall the previous ER and IR verb ending charts, you should have noticed that both of these groups of verbs share common endings in the present tense, except in the nosotros and the vosotros forms. I'm just going to jump back and show you what I mean. Right here in the IR, it's IMOS, but for ER verbs, it's EMOS. Otherwise, all other forms are identical. O, ace, a, n, back to IR, O, ace, a, n. So the only difference right here is in the nosotros form. So let me jump back again. For AR verbs, it's amos in the nosotros form. Oops. For ER verbs, it's amos in the nosotros form. And for IR verbs, it's hemos in the nosotros form. So as you can see, ER and IR verbs are very, very similar. That's why we're learning them as one. We're learning them in the same lesson. Okay, here again is the chart for IR verbs. Remember to have conjugated compartir. And here is the back side of your handout. What you need to do here is take a few moments and take the verb that's provided, and you have to conjugate it according to the subject of the sentence using the appropriate ending. Just want to caution you that some of these are ERs and some of them are IRs. So make sure you look carefully, refer to your notes so you conjugate them correctly, and be careful not to use the AR ending, your AR endings to conjugate these, because these are not AR verbs. Again, this is ER and IR. Awesome. Well, hey, I hope you learned something today. This is Grammar Gregorio signing out.